Ryan Poston case is a real-life legal case that gained significant media attention. It revolves around the tragic events that took place in 2012 in Highland Heights, Kentucky, when Ryan Poston was shot and killed by his girlfriend, Shayna Hubers. Here is a fact report summarizing the key details of the case. Ryan Carter Poston was born on December 30th, 1982, in Fort Mitchell, Kentucky, to Lisa Carter and Jay Poston. He was also an older brother of three younger sisters named Allison, Catherine, and Elizabeth. They all loved one another, and they had a very tight-knit family and a super close bond. Ryan Poston was much loved. His father, Jay Poston, said in an interview with the Cincinnati Enquirer that everyone in their family adored his son. Even though his parents decided to separate at some point, they ensured that the entire family stayed connected. Moreover, Ryan shared a healthy relationship with his siblings. The family always got together for major celebrations and holidays. Everyone got along pretty well. And although Ryan was very close with his biological father, he was also very close with his stepfather, Peter Carter. In fact, as an adult, Ryan got his name legally changed so that his middle name would reflect his stepfather's last name. So he was Ryan Carter Poston. And obviously, family was very important to Ryan, and he was also very important to them. In his early life, he started his education at the Blessed Sacrament School in Fort Mitchell, Kentucky, and then went on to attend the International School Manila in the Philippines, followed by International School of Geneva in Switzerland. Once he graduated high school, Ryan attended Indiana University for college, where he triples majored in history, geography, and political science. After college, Ryan wanted to become a lawyer, so he went to law school at Salmon P. Chase College of Law at Northern Kentucky University. And for Ryan, it wasn't about the money. Ryan really wanted to help people. His father says that Ryan would take on cases where clients couldn't necessarily afford him, but he would represent them anyway. In 2011 is when Ryan met Shayna Hubers. He actually came across her spring break photos on her Facebook profile. She was Facebook friends with one of Ryan's step-cousins, which is how he came across her profile in the first place. And Shayna was a beautiful 19-year-old at the time, and Ryan was 28 years old. After Ryan added Shayna as a friend on Facebook, the two began talking, and then eventually the two would start dating. And the first time they actually met in person was on Shayna's 20th birthday on April 8th, 2011. And pretty much from the time they started dating, their relationship was rocky and very on again, off again. It doesn't sound like they had many periods of time where they were happy with one another. If you ask Shayna, she will tell you that their relationship problems stemmed from the fact that Ryan was an extremely critical and angry person. She would describe Ryan as an emotionally and sometimes physically abusive boyfriend. But if you asked Ryan's close family and friends, they would say this could not be farther from the truth. Ryan was not a violent person at all, even when he was angry. And on top of already dealing with this chaotic relationship, Ryan was also dealing with a lot more. He was being sued by his former law partner after he'd left to go start his own practice. This made Ryan's life a whole lot more difficult. But what was making his life the most difficult was his relationship with Shayna. Many people would describe Shayna as the type of person who is obsessive. She has a really hard time letting things go. Shayna was always known as a very dramatic person. She was in drama and musical theater. She loved singing and acting throughout her life and into her adulthood as well. But people in high school recalled that if she was ever broken up with, she would make a really big deal out of it. During her and Ryan's relationship, Shayna was still in college. She was attending the University of Kentucky, where she was earning her degree in psychology. And meanwhile, Ryan was living 80 miles north of her in a condo. Shayna frequently would just show up at his condo without being invited, without announcing that she was going to come, and she would somehow make her way inside. Shayna says that she was the type of girlfriend that did everything for Ryan, from cooking to cleaning, anything he needed done. She says she was always there, and some may consider this as being very nice things in a relationship. Shayna used these good deeds in a way to keep Ryan and have a power over him, almost like a form of guilt, to keep reminding him, I did everything for you when things went wrong. She was just obsessed with Ryan. And this sort of obsessive behavior was one of the main reasons that Ryan wanted to end things with her for good. But no matter how hard he would try to end the relationship, she just could not take no for an answer. She even admitted to a friend that she would try to dress up extra nice to persuade him to stay with her. She did this on several occasions. Although Shayna wants people to believe that Ryan was the abuser in the relationship, it is pretty easy to see here that things were the other way around. Ryan was a lawyer, so I imagine he would have done something on the legal side of things if he could. But the law in Kentucky states that two people need to be living together in order for a restraining order to be taken out. During the course of their on and off again 18-month relationship, Shayna ended up graduating and eventually her degree with several academic awards. On October 12, 2012, actually it all started the night before. On October 11, 2012, and that night the vice presidential debate was on. It was Joe Biden, vice president back then, versus Paul Ryan. Ryan was really excited about this, and he had plans to watch it over at his mom and stepdad's house, and he invited Shayna to join them. Later on, that night he breaks up with her again back at his condo. This happened pretty late at night because Shayna had called her mom after they broke up at 3 a.m., absolutely hysterical, so upset in fact, and hyperventilating that her mom thought she was having a heart attack. And her mom was so worried about her that she ended up getting in the car and driving 2.5 hours to meet her at Ryan's condo. Shayna and her mom eventually left the condo together and spent some time together that morning. Meanwhile, Ryan was probably hoping things were over with Shayna. He was so set on moving on from Shayna that he even had a date scheduled for the night of October 12th. This date was with Audrey Bolt. She was actually the former Miss Ohio, and she was actually second runner-up in Miss America. He first met Audrey on Facebook, very similar to how he met Shayna. It seemed like he was the one who friended Audrey on Facebook, and then the two of them began texting. On the night that they had scheduled their first date, Ryan never showed up. Audrey went to the bar, waited there, and she thought she was being stood up, but she had no clue what actually happened to Ryan that night. That night, a 911 call comes into dispatch from Shayna Hubers saying that she killed her boyfriend in self-defense. This 911 operator does an amazing job getting information. This is one of the most interesting 911 calls I think I've ever heard. Really pay attention to what Shayna says because much of it becomes big evidence in this case.
Campbell County 911.
Ma'am, I killed my boyfriend in self-defense.
Okay, where are you at?
I'm at 12 Meadow Lane, Highland Heights, Kentucky, 41076.
Okay, 12 Meadow Lane. Are you in a house or an apartment there?
It's an apartment. It's apartment suite 10.
Is it Meadow, anything else, Meadow View or something?
No, 12 Meadow Lane, ma'am. I killed him in self-defense.
Okay. Tell me again what unit you're in. It's not showing in my computer.
It's 10. It's unit 10.
Okay, you're at 12 Meadow Lane, unit number 10. Okay, hold on. What did you kill him with?
A loaded gun in the house.
Tell me where the gun is right now.
The gun is in the house.
Where at though, ma'am? Tell me where it's at.
I laid it on the bookshelf.
Where at? Laying on a shelf?
On the bookshelf. It's
Where are you?
I'm standing about 10 feet from his dead body.
Okay, are you sure that he is dead?
He's dead, ma'am. He's completely dead.
Okay. And how long ago did you shoot him?
I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes, not even that long.
10 or 15 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Okay, what's your name?
My name is Shayna Hubers.
I'm sorry, what is it again? Tell me.
Shayna Michelle Hubers.
Hubers?
Hubers, Hubers. Hubers.
Okay, what's your name again? Shayna or Shayna?
Shayna, S-H-A-Y-N-A.
All right, Shayna, I'm just having a hard time hearing you. Okay, all right. Now, you're going to stay on you're going to stay on the line with me, okay? Because this is what we're going to do. The officers are going to want me to stay on the line with you, so when they get there, they're going to want to know where that gun is, and we want you to get out safely, too, okay?
Okay, are they going to arrest me?
Ma'am, I don't know what they'll do. We're going to send them out. I'm going to stay on the line with you, okay?
I mean, I'm not a murderer, ma'am. I just killed him.
What happened exactly? What happened?
He beat me and carried me out of the house.
He did?
He beat me and tried to carry me out of the house, and I came back in to get my things, and he was right in front of me, and he reached down and grabbed the gun, and I grabbed it out of his hand and pulled the trigger.
Okay. All right. Do you need an ambulance? Have you been injured?
I'm not injured, ma'am. I was thrown into the side of the couch.
Okay. And how old is he?
He's 29. He'll be 30 he would have been 30 on December the 30th.
All right. What's his name?
Ryan Poston. He's an attorney in Cincinnati.
Okay. Have you had a history of domestic violence with him?
Yes.
Okay. And is this your gun?
No, this is his gun. He keeps loaded guns in the house.
So he slammed you into the couch, but you don't have any injuries?
I don't have any injuries. I was just very frightened. He's a lot bigger than me. He's 6'3", 200 pounds. I'm 5'8", 120. And he picked me up and was carrying me out of the house. And I said, let me get my things at least if we're gonna break up. And he wouldn't let me get my things. And when I reached around to try to get my things, I can hear myself echoing in the background, ma'am.
It's just this phone system. This phone system has got a delay.
And he pushed me down from the door all the way to the couch, and when they come here, they'll see how far that is. He threw me across the room, and I was very startled. I was laying on the floor.
Okay. All right.
And I killed him.
Okay. Ma'am, this is what I want you to do, though. You're sure he's not, ma'am, you're sure he's not breathing at all?
Do I have to go touch him?
No, that's okay. They actually have someone who's outside almost right now, but I'm going to stay on the line with you, okay? When they tell me to, what I'm going to tell you to do is walk to the door with your hands up, because we want you to come out safely, okay? So that's why I'm staying on the line with you. Ma'am, I'm just a dispatcher. I'm nothing but a dispatcher, so I can't tell you. My job is to keep you on the line, make sure my officers get there safely and nothing happens to them, okay?
Ma'am, and then because he was twitching and I knew he was going to die anyway, and he was making funny noises, I shot him a couple more times just to kill him because I knew he would have been.
I'm sorry, you said you shot him a couple more times after that?
Yeah.
How many times did you shoot him total?
I don't know.
Okay, because he was twitching and you knew he was going to die, so you shot him again?
Enough to make sure he was dead because he was twitching so bad and I didn't want to watch him lay there and twitch.
So you shot him instead of calling 911?
Do what? Yeah, I did because I knew he was going to die anyway.
Okay.
It was pretty bad. He was like, he just was twitching. I mean, he was pretty much dead, and I shot him just so he stopped twitching. Yeah, I did, because I knew he was going to die. Anyway. He was like, he just was twitching. I mean, he was pretty much dead, and I shot him just so he stopped twitching.
Can you see out front of your apartment at all?
I can't see out front. I can see to the back, but not the front.
Okay.
Do I walk? Which way do I? I can hear him. Do I walk out the front door?
Nope. I want you to stay right where you're at.
Stay right where I'm at?
Stay where you're at. Go tell me.
Okay. Well, they tell me when they're... Well, I have to give them a key to let them in. I actually have to walk all the way down there to let them in.
All right. I want... Okay.
Is he out front?
Ma'am, what I want you to do is I want you to set the phone down, but I do not want you to hang it up. I want you to go to your front door. I want you to open it up, walk outside the door with your hands in front of you.
Okay, I will.
And your hands open. The officers are at the top of the steps, but set the phone down.
Okay, I'm going to do it.
Okay.
Okay, I set the phone down.
Set the phone down and put your hands in front of you.
Are you there? Are you there?
I'm here.
I set the phone down. I walk out the front door with my hands and palms down.
Yes, with your hands open and you're straight in front of you. Officers are at the top of the steps.
Okay, bye. Here.
Okay, so let's go over this 911 call because of a lot of this information would be very important. First of all, Shane said before she shot Ryan, he physically attacked her. And the 911 call, she said he beat me and tried to carry me out of the house, and I came back in to get my things, and he was right in front of me. And he reached down and grabbed the gun, and I grabbed it out of his hand and pulled the trigger. A 911 audio recording shows. After pulling the trigger the first time, she pulled the trigger 5 more times, shooting Poston twice in the head, once in the back, and 3 times in the chest. Police found his corpse on the floor, next to the table where he usually kept his gun. He was twitching, so I shot him a couple more times just to make sure he was dead because I didn't want to watch him die, Shayna told police during questioning later that night. This is very shocking information, even to the 911 operator, who you hear say instead of calling 911, you just continue to shoot him. After her 911 phone call, Shayna Hubers was taken into police custody, where things get even stranger. She proceeded to act in the most unusual manner. According to the WCPO report, her behavior was rather erratic. During her initial interview with police, Hubers asked for an attorney and was read her Miranda rights. But then the murder suspect stunned detectives by making a series of shocking admissions without anyone asking her any questions. She detailed how the 29-year-old victim allegedly pushed her down against the arm of the couch and threw her against furniture in the moments before the first shot rang out.
And in the middle of him doing something with his arm or saying something crazy, shot him. And I thought, oh my God, what have I done? You know? And he was laying with his face on the table, like twitching. And so I knew he was going to die a very slow and painful death. I knew he was already dead, you know, within the next 20 seconds. Within the next 2 minutes, I knew he was going to be dead. And he was in a lot of pain. He was twitching, he was moaning, but he was ultimately dead. And so I shot him enough times to kill him so that he wouldn't suffer at that point, which was a few more times. And I think I shot him twice, thought he was completely dead, and he was laying there still, twitching and making noises. And I shot him in the head. I probably should have left it there, but I knew he was going to die. Mm-hmm. Or have a very deformed face. And you were concerned. And I knew, oh no, he would have died. He was already dying. He was dying. But I just walked around the table and shot him where I knew he would die immediately. His obsession with guns killed him. You know, I would have never, I'm so Democrat, I would have never touched a gun in my life until I dated him. How sweet the sound that sings oh, there's a lamp, and he had put his arm across the table and had it in my face and was screaming at me at the top of his lungs after he had thrown me around the room, and was saying emotionally to me, I hate you. I hate everything about you for what you are and my family. And he was screaming it, and he had his hand on the table, and he wasn't completely standing up. He was like this. He was sitting, he was enough that when I shot him, he went like this. Literally. That's when I knew he was dead. Or close to it, and twitching. And I couldn't, I let him, I still, even though it hurt, I still, enough of me, loved him.
He's very vain. One of our last conversations we had that was good was that he wants to get a nose job. Hubers was recorded on tape telling police. And I shot him right here. I gave him his nose job he wanted. I broke it.
That I couldn't stand to watch him twitch. I knew he was going to die or have a completely deformed face. He's very vain. One of our last conversations we had that was good was that he wants my best friend who's a dentist to do his veneers and wants to get a nose job. Just that kind of person. And I shot him right here. I gave him his nose job he wanted. I broke it. I'm not your typical murderer. No, not someone that you see on that. And I wasn't doing anything that was mean. I was like begging him to stay in the relationship and be with me because I knew that we weren't really loving each other. Ryan had told me that he loved me and wanted to be with me. And I guess somewhere along the way, that grew to hate. He was screaming how much he hated me. I don't know if anyone will ever want to marry me if they know that I killed a boyfriend and helped. It's not funny, but the stuff he was saying to me was so abusive while he was throwing me around the room. If anyone will ever want to marry me if they know that I killed a boyfriend and helped. It's not funny, but the stuff he was saying to me was so abusive while he was throwing me around the room. I think in the midst of that, my love turned to hate. I remember screaming, reaching up to grab the shirt. You out there? You mocked my family? Out there? You think really my mother and my family. If I don't get any serious consequences, then I could really be happy just having a career and maybe not even ever getting married. Because it's just very traumatic, It's very traumatic for me to live with it. I have to know that I did that to someone that I told every day, I love you. I think in the midst of that, my love turned to hate. I remember screaming, reaching up to grab the shirt. You out there? You mocked my family? Out there? I didn't do anything that was mean. I was like begging him to stay in the relationship and be with me because I knew that we weren't really loving each other. Ryan had told me that he loved me and wanted to be with me. And I guess somewhere along the way, that grew to hate. He was screaming how much he hated me.
After the interrogation, investigators revisit the crime scene. Investigators don't doubt an argument took place, but they saw no evidence of the violent struggle Shayna had described. Shayna stated in the interrogation, "He was throwing me around the room, like picking me up and like had my face and stuff." Shayna claimed Ryan had also thrown her against a bookshelf. As you can see, this bookcase is covered with items that would have shifted. Snodgrass showed Van Sant. A number of pipes along that shelf, some bullets on this shelf, and if you look at this photograph that shows a little bit of a closer angle, none of them are disturbed.
One of the things that we talked about is with Miss Hubers in her statement saying, I'll use her words, thrown around the room like a rag doll. thrown into the bookcase. What was one of your concerns as an investigator when you see this scene?
That there was nothing knocked down on the shelf.
Nothing knocked down on the shelf when you first came?
Correct. There was dust. If you look up on top, there's a card. There's items that could have been knocked over.
Here, it's like a birthday card
yeah, some type of card. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And nothing at that point in time was out of place?
No, ma'am.
But what really made investigators skeptical about Shayna's story was her claim that at one point during their clash, Ryan had locked himself in his bedroom. If someone is assaulting you, why are they the one to escape? Snodgrass noted. Shayna also showed little to no injuries at all. If she was attacked the way she described to the authorities, there would something to indicate that. And then her story about how she got the gun completely changed. In her 911 call, we hear Shayna say that Ryan grabs the gun off the table and then she took it from him, but she changed her story and say that she herself picked up the gun off the table, not Ryan.
What would you have expected to see if there was a struggle over top of the table?
I would have seen things knocked off the table and knocked over on the table.
Was it?
No, ma'am.
Was anything knocked over?
No, ma'am.
And keep in mind the cops did not ask her any questions after she requested a lawyer. She continued to talk on her own will. When at one point police officers stepped out of the room, leaving Shayna alone, the woman said out loud, "I killed him, I killed him," all the while performing a peculiar dance routine in which she twirled around and snapped her fingers.
Thank you. I did. Yeah, I did.
Shayna Hubers was arrested for murder and was held on a $1,500,000 bail. Since she was unable to meet her bail, she would remain in jail for 2.5 years until her first trial. On January 26, 2013, she entered a plea of not guilty to the murder charges. Her first murder trial began on April 13, 2015, in Campbell County, Kentucky. Prosecutors argued that the motive for the murder was that Poston wanted to permanently end the couple's relationship. Defense attorneys continued with their contention that the shooting was in self-defense and that Hubers was a victim of domestic abuse. Ryan's cousin, Carissa Carlisle, who was also Shayna's friend, testified about the tumultuous relationship. Carissa Carlisle, reading aloud from a list of texts. He said to me, "This is getting to be restraining order level crazy. I'm not kidding. You need to talk to her. She needs help. And I say that without exaggeration. She just really needs help." Allie read a Facebook message Ryan sent her. "Literally, probably the craziest F-King person I have ever met. She almost scares me." Ryan also texted a cousin. "She's shown up at my condo like 3 times and refuses to leave each time." Ryan had messaged Shayna back in February 2012, 8 months before he was killed. "You can tell people you broke up with me," according to texts reported on by 48 Hours. She resisted, replying that she loved him far more than you deserve. In March, the report continued. He pleaded with her to stop texting me. Then in April, "I no longer have the patience to deal with you." Investigators believe Shayna was nearing a breaking point. 11 days before the shooting, Shayna sent a friend an ominous text. Chief Birkenhauer, reading the text aloud, "Ryan doesn't love or care. He's an evil person." The text message is among the thousands between Shayna and Ryan, which investigators say paint a picture of a woman scorned. The lead detective says he pored over pages of texts and online correspondence, the most chilling of which came on October 2, 2012, days before Poston's death. "What was the defendant saying she was going to do with Ryan?" the juror asked Highland Heights Police Chief Bill Birkenhauer. "She said she's going to go to the shooting range with him," Chief Birkenhauer said. "And what does she say to her friend right after she calls Ryan Poston an evil person?" the juror asked. She says when she goes to the shooting range with Ryan tonight, she wants to shoot and kill him and play like it's an accident.
Ryan's been begging me to ask if you could do his veneers. Please F them up and make him ugly so he'll never get another girl. I hate him.
And what is the next exchange between yourself and Miss Hubers?
When I go to the shooting range with Ryan tonight, I want to turn around, shoot and kill him, and play like it's an accident.
You heard that right. She literally texted that to her friend. And then only a few days later, that's exactly what she did. Shayna did not take the stand in her own defense, but relied on her police interrogation tape, in which she maintained the killing was in self-defense. Shayna defense team tried their hardest to paint Ryan as a violent person, but this was a failed attempt, because any time when Ryan showed violent tendencies, it wasn't toward Shayna. During the trial, it was addressed that Ryan was taking both Xanax and Adderall at the time of his murder, but the odds of a violent outburst was unlikely. Even Shayna Hubers' former cellmates say Shayna admitted killing Ryan Poston out of jealousy, not self-defense. Cecily Miller spent time in jail with Shayna. She said Shayna showed no remorse in jail and first considered an insanity defense, then went to something else. She said that Shayna bragged about killing her boyfriend, saying that she laughed about shooting Ryan in the face and giving him the nose job he always wanted. Miller said Shayna decided to pursue the battered wife syndrome plea instead, saying Shayna was going to claim Ryan beat, raped, and sodomized her.
Cecily Miller was in the Campbell County Jail with Hubers. She says she came forward with what Hubers told her because she felt sorry for Poston's family.
Did she ever at times laugh about certain parts of the incident that happened on October 12th of 2012?
Oh, yes.
Which parts did she laugh about?
Thing about shooting him in the face and giving him the nose job he always wanted.
Miller says it bothered her that Hubers laughed, in her words, cackled about it.
She said she was going to plead insanity, but then she said that she was too smart because she has an IQ of Einstein, up to the IQ of Einstein, and so she's going to plead the white battered syndrome.
Snodgrass wants jurors to focus on Shayna's behavior, which is more like a performance. When the cops walk out of the room, watch what the actress does. The minute he walks out of the room, the crying stop. That's the actress, Snodgrass told the court. Within hours of putting 6 bullets into Ryan Poston and watching him die, she danced and sang. On April 23, 2015, after 5 hours of jury deliberation, Shayna was found guilty of Ryan's murder. Following the verdict, the jury recommended a 40-year prison sentence.
We, the jury, fixed the defendant Shayna Hubers' punishment for the offense of murder at 40 years confinement in the penitentiary.
It's clear Ryan Poston had some demons that he was fighting. I don't think you've recognized that you have any yet.
With that, Judge Fred Stein agrees with the jury. Shayna Hubers goes to prison. She'll be there up to 40 years until she's in her 60s.
We have gotten justice, and Ryan loved the law, and this is what the law has given us. We'll take that. It's okay.
From the very beginning, we never for a second, any of us, thought that Ryan did anything to deserve what happened to him. Never for 1 second did we ever think that there was any physical violence from a young man who had a kind and gentle heart. And we got justice for him, and we can live with that because that's what we have to do.
We're going to turn the page on this. This is the end of a chapter. Now we're going to go forward because that's what Ryan wanted, for us to live our life. No one's taking anything more from this family. This is it.
And if he had any fault, that's what it was. He could not be mean to another human being, and she took advantage of that at every opportunity.
But only 1 year later, in 2016, Shayna's conviction was overturned due to a juror being found to be a convicted felon. And during this retrial, Shayna's lawyers opted to argue on the basis of extreme emotional disturbance as the cause of her shooting Ryan. This would result in a lesser sentence for her, as the charge would be changed to manslaughter. But a lot has changed within that 1 year. Shayna is now 27 and now in a relationship with a convicted drug trafficker named Richard McBee. McBee sometimes identifies as a transgender woman named Unique Taylor. The two somehow met at the Campbell County Jail where they were both locked up.
It appears that you've fallen in love.
Yes.
How did that happen?
I can only describe it as like a spiritual encounter that I had with another person that I met here a couple years ago that I grew to know over the years. Mm-hmm. And we just got really close, and you know, we're both forced into a similar situation, and Unique and I have a lot in common, and we just grew very close over the years.
But Shayna Hubers' second trial begins on August 14th, 2018, almost 6 years after Ryan Poston's death. The defense, led this time by attorney David Eldridge, is again claiming Ryan was abusive. Ryan was very aggressive with her, Eldridge told the court. What started out as that evening as a normal evening ended that night with Mr. Poston being both sexually and physically violent.
Not too long after she arrives, he lights into her verbally, critical of everything there is to be critical of her about. Her mother, her family, her education, where she's from, her appearance. Vile comments to her. Verbal assault. No other way to describe it.
Defense psychologist Thomas Schacht says Shayna has a personality disorder and PTSD from childhood sexual abuse, but there are no police reports to support Shayna's claims. But the prosecutor Snodgrass' opening statement was very powerful.
I will not ask you to take our word for it. Because when we stand before you and tell you that Shayna Hubers made a conscious decision, an intentional decision to kill Ryan Poston, we're going to ask you to take her word for it. As we stand here today, when she's had 2,132 days to think back, to reflect, to analyze, there are certainly things that Shayna Hubers wishes she could unsay. Things that she wishes she could unsend. To the 911 operator who she told that Ryan carried her into the hallway to get her to leave, and she went back in. To the police officer who she told that Ryan locked himself away in his bedroom and would not unlock the door, so she unlocked it herself and went in. To the countless times that you will hear her contradict herself, such as 1 minute she's wrestling the gun from Ryan's hands, and the next she's grabbing it off the kitchen table. To the thousands of text messages she sent during this relationship that memorialize her tenacious and unyielding pursuit of a man who, by her own observation, did not share her feelings. Shayna Hubers can control what you're going to hear from the year 2018, but she cannot control what you're going to hear from the year 2012. Because those messages cannot be unsent, and those words cannot be unsaid.
In fact, the prosecutor made some powerful and impactful statements throughout the trial.
Prosecution closed its case with testimony from women who had been cellmates in jail with Shayna Hubers and said she admitted making up a story that Ryan had raped and physically abused her.
What did she tell you?
About the rape and the abuse, that it did not happen that night.
Nothing further.
As far as communications, they said Shayna sent Ryan an astonishing 50,000 to 100,000 messages. Ryan would rarely reply. For every 100 messages from Shayna, Ryan would send one. The messages also revealed the messages sometimes sent by Shayna, who claims to be emotionally abused. She would say, "You are just a horrible attorney," one message said. "Small dick, bad lay," said another.
Then there were times that Hubers used a friend's phone to send text messages, often using strong language.
"You're just a horrible attorney. Ha. You lost a client and didn't contest. Wow. Not easy, just stupid. Goodbye."
10 days before the shooting, there was another text, this one from Hubers to a friend, about being at a shooting range with Poston.
"A part of me wanted to turn around and shoot him. I wonder why he's taking me on dates and stuff. LOL. I'm not going to turn down learning to shoot a gun. Ha ha ha."
Prosecutors claim Poston was done with Hubers. He wanted to move on, but she schemed to dress pretty, Show up, don't leave, and call until he finally answers.
She say why she thought the defendant, or the victim, Mr. Poston, was still with her after those occasions?
Because when he breaks up with her, she cries nonstop until he takes her back and he feels bad.
And Snodgrass reminds Shayna of what she told police after pumping 6 bullets into Ryan. Shayna Hubers said he was twitching some more. I shot him a couple of more times just to make sure he was dead because I didn't want to watch him die. The jury deliberates for nearly 5 hours. We, the jury, find the defendant Shayna Hubers guilty of murder. The judge read aloud in court. Shayna Hubers is guilty of the murder of Ryan Poston for a second time. She was sentenced to life in prison.
I will forever miss the possibilities. We will never know the incredible possibilities that Ryan Poston would have given to this earth. He was a tremendously gifted young man. The sky was the limit. A United States senator, a congressman, anything was within his grasp. He was a tremendously gifted young man.
Ryan Poston's untimely death left a lasting impact on his family, friends, and the local community. His story serves as a tragic reminder of the consequences of domestic violence and unhealthy relationships. The case also raised awareness about the importance of recognizing the signs of abusive relationships and seeking help when needed. Ryan Poston's life and the circumstances surrounding his death have left an indelible mark, reminding people of the importance of addressing relationship issues and seeking help when faced with potentially dangerous situations.